What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Monday night. We got a two-gamer tonight, so a doubleheader. I'm just going to be reviewing Showdown for both games. So I'm not a big fan of playing the two-game slate. So we're just going to review. We're going to start with the game starts at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, which is going to be Jacksonville and Buffalo. So I've got my custom inputs in, and we're going to put in, pull up my stuff here. Hope everybody had a good weekend. It was almost a great weekend for me, but not that quite. Kyle Shanahan blew one of the worst games I've ever seen him blow. And, that's coming off the, old Atlanta 28-6. So, yeah, not great. So we're definitely going to need to bounce back from that. But we got a good game tonight. We got two really good games. I think they're fun showdown games, right? You got some high-powered offenses and just some initial leans. The biggest question to me, and I think this is the guy that could make or break the slate if you can get him right, is Christian Kirk. And I think Keon Coleman on the other side, where they are – I mean, Christian Kirk had 0 last game. I think Keon Coleman had close to a 0. But they are massive leverage on the slate because nobody is going to be playing them, right? Now, I think that the Jags are going to probably bounce back a little bit and be a little bit better in this game. But either of those two guys, I think, are just – if you're going to get those guys right, you're going to kick ass on this slate. Another really polarizing player is going to be Gabe Davis. Now, he has kind of taken over the snap share in running most of the routes. I mean, he's on the field all the time. Christian Kirk is coming off of the field in multiple wide receiver sets sometimes now. In 2 wide receiver sets, he's often off the field. I've even seen some 3 wide receiver sets where he is not on the field. So it's a little bit concerning. Brian Thomas Jr. obviously is quite the player. I like him quite a bit tonight, especially at the way he's priced. But Gabe Davis at 5,400 is underpriced for the amount of snaps that he's garnering in that offense. So it's going to be one of those things that it's like, like I said, you're going to have to make a stand somewhere. And I really like when we have polarizing views because it gives us an opportunity to get, kind of on the other side of things. Another guy that is going to be pretty polarizing tonight, there's 2 guys. There's going to be Ty Johnson and Tank Bigsby. They're backup running backs for Buffalo and Tank Bigsby for Jacksonville. Sims like them a lot. Both of them. They're both like 15 to 12% leverage. For me, Ty Johnson makes a little bit more sense because I think that the Bills do win this game. And in a game where the Bills are going to be winning, Ty Johnson is probably going to be playing a little bit more than James Cook is going to be playing. And he's also literally half the price that Tank Bigsby is. Now, Tank Bigsby has been earning some more snaps this year, no doubt. But it's one of those things where it's like, could Tank Bigsby and Ty Johnson produce roughly the same amount of points? Yeah. And one is half the price of the other. So it's really going to depend on your build. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit of him in there. I think Curtis Samuel is a pretty interesting play at 3% at 4,000. He's a guy that I'll probably get to a little bit, especially in some larger field single entry tournaments that I'm going to be playing. James Cook is about even. Josh Allen is about even leverage-wise. It looks like you're really going to – where the leverage is coming for Josh Allen is in the captain spot, and I don't know why more people are not playing him in the captain spot. But, I think if you're going to play Josh Allen in the lineup, there's no reason – he's going to be so highly owned. There's no reason not to play him in the captain spot. So go ahead and fill up your captain spots with Josh Allen. ETN, yeah – he's just really expensive for what he is, right? Like I would rather just play James Cook at 10-8 than ETN because Tank Bigsby is, digging into a lot of those snaps. Now, is James Cook going to have the same game that he had against the Dolphins last week? Absolutely not. Is there a chance? Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a chance, right? He could definitely get there. that's one of those things. Another really weird guy on the slate who gets a lot of targets is going to be Matt Collins. I think that's a pretty interesting one. He's only 2,200. He's a guy that I'm definitely going to be playing in some like 5-1 onslaughts. Took down a GPP. I chopped second place Thursday night last week. We just got edged out by somebody with the Jets defense, but it was a 5-1 onslaught, right? And the chop wasn't bad. I mean, me and one other guy finished in second place in a single entry, and it was, $2,000 each. So off a $15 entry. So 5-1 onslaught. People are going to be, if you want to play some of these chalkier guys, you can play multiple chalky guys in the lineup. Just remember, not a lot of people are going to be getting to a 5-1 onslaught. It's just not going to happen. People just are scared to play that, right? And especially if you're playing in a 150 max, obviously there's guys out there running sims that are going to be able to get there, but very, very, very rarely. And you could see it. I chopped it with one person, right? And the guy who won also won it with an onslaught, just one different player from the Jets. Not a lot of people are going to get to 5-1s. So people are going to get to 4-2s, but if you really take a stance on the game, and if you're going to play 6 lineups, honestly, and if you're playing GPPs, the best way to build is on one side, build 3 5-1s for one team and 3 5-1s for the other, and then go from there, right? Figure it out, see how you can make it work, because you're going to be on a polarizing side of a stance at that point. 3 threes can obviously work, right? But those are very, going to be duplicated, and those are usually pretty cash heavy, right? So let's move on to the second game of the night. Oh, come on. Just pulling up my information here. I'm going to try and keep this total video under 15 minutes for both games because I know that everybody has a short attention span. So we got the Commanders at the Bengals. I think that obviously the Bengals could certainly win this game. They should certainly win this game. But hey, the Niners should have beat the Rams on Sunday, and they got embarrassed. So, not everything happens the way you want it to happen. But I do think this game goes over the total. I've got it at like 30-21. That's what I'm using for my inputs. We get a total of 47. So I definitely think it gets over the total, and I think it gets over the total pretty easily. The defense for the Washington Commanders, or Redskins, as some of you like to refer to them, still is not very good, right? It's just one of those things where I think that, this is a game where, again, people are going to pick and choose and say, oh, man, like I love the Bengals to smash, but then they're not going to play the 5-1 onslaught. They're just not going to do it, right? And, I mean, when we're running the Sims here, you can kind of see that happening. There's some pretty polarizing things here. T. Higgins is going to be back. I'm fine with playing a bunch of T. Higgins, but I also like getting some Andre Yoshivas back in there too. He's only 6,600. He's coming in at 2% owned. The Sims have him showing up in the optimal lineup in the flex 18% of the time. Like, that's crazy. Just because T. Higgins comes back, they think this guy's just going to completely be off the field. That's not the case whatsoever. He's been an integral part of the game plan, especially in the red zone for the last few weeks, much more than like everyone wanting to play, Mike Gesicki. I'm fine full fading Mike Gesicki. I would much rather play Andre Yoshivas in those lineups, right? So there's some really good value on a guy like Noah Brown. Sims don't like him that much. I don't really care. He's only going to be 10% owned. I'm probably going to have 15 to 20% Noah Brown. He's a guy that I definitely want to get over the field on. Burrow and Daniels are both positive leverage. Most of it is showing up in the captain spot, but you got to play Daniels. He's a running quarterback. I don't care that he hasn't had any passing touchdowns. You have to jam Daniels in this lineup. You just got to do it. I mean, I would even be fine playing Daniels with no Burrow. Again, that's a weird thing that, a lot of people just aren't going to get to. Chase Brown, Sims hate him based on his usage, but he's only 4,400. So I think there's a situation, again, you can't look at just like purely depend on the Sims here. I think that if you get him into a lineup like a good lineup, I think, to have him and Zach Moss in would be to like have like a Daniels captain and then like those two and then 3 more commanders, so it's a 4-2, right? I think that's a really weird lineup that not a lot of people are going to get to. Kickers look pretty good in this one. I obviously prefer McPherson because I think the Bengals are going to win the game and score more points. Luke McCaffrey is an interesting play. 0 points. I think only 2 targets last game. Very, very negatively leveraged. But Yoshivas is almost 20% leverage. T. Higgins is 11%. Joe Burrow is at, 5% captain leverage. I mean, who says we couldn't just play those guys? Jamar Chase is, super expensive. He is negative 23% leverage. Now, he is the one player that can completely blow that out of the water, but, is what it is. I really like Brian Robinson Jr. tonight if I'm going with kind of an off-the-wall captain. Either him or Terry McLaurin, who has not played well so far this year. I like either of those guys for Washington and the captain, and I love Daniels. He's by far and away my favorite captain of the night tonight. Let's go look at a couple of custom lineups here. Again, yeah, a lot of 5-1s are going to be the way to go, and they're not going to be duped, right? Joe Burrow, the captain, Yoshivas, Brian Robinson Jr., Eric All, T. Higgins, Zach Moss. I mean, that's got a projected dupe of 0.14. Just not going to happen, right? Here's another really good one. Burrow and the captain, Yoshivas, Eric All with Jaden Daniels, T. Higgins, and Zach Moss. Love that one, right? So, as soon as you start to jam in guys like Chase, it becomes really, really popular because everybody is going to play Chase. And not saying you shouldn't play Chase, but if you're playing in a large field GPP, even if it's single entry, what do you think most people playing in that contest are going to click? They're going to click Chase, right? So I think it's just one of those things where you just got to try and get a little bit different. Chase hasn't looked great. So if you want to tell yourself the story that, he's kind of still down in the dumps and in his head about the contract situation or whatever, I'm fine with fading him, right? I'm probably going to be underweight to him. And the only times that I'm going to be playing Chase, I think tonight is going to be in the captain spot. All right. So that's it. Nice, short, sweet one for 2 games tonight. Hope you guys have fun. Like I said, don't be afraid to get weird. 5-1 onslaughts, 4-2 onslaughts. If you're playing in large field, even single entry or 3 max, 3-3s are going to be really, really hard to get there with this, unless they're weird, right? With like a really, really cheap guy, like an Eric All Jr. that just like has to smash or something like that, or a De'Ami Brown, or, a Noah Brown, which I really like as my pay down. So, don't be afraid to get weird, play around with it, have some fun with it. You don't have to play high dollar amount, but take a stand, right, on something. Or if you're going to play, like if you got $10 to play, go in the $1 and play 5, Bengals 1-5 onslaughts and play 5, Washington 1-5 onslaughts. See what happens. Try something different. All right, guys. Thank you so much.